I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
What would justification be?
I love that from the reporter at the end. What would the justification be? That's good. I like when reporters get to make a little joke. And so that's Trump. That by the way that's from right now. That's not when he was saying that like 3 or 4 months ago or whatever. After he took out the head of a state that he wants to control, he's now saying we're going to take Greenland. And it's not just him. It's not just the fascists like in his administration that are excited about that. Even their wives are getting in on it. Like Katie Miller, who posted this, more AI slap, fun, and says soon. Because again, what is she supposed to focus on? Her happy marriage or something? Come on, get out of here. That's not realistic at all. Grow up, everybody. We gotta take Greenland. And that is definitely a thing that Katie Miller cared about 2 years ago. This is a consistent part of her personality or whatever. We have to have Greenland and we have to have it now. And so, I mean, like technically you can't just conquer Greenland or whatever. At least that's what Denmark says. They posted this. I must say this very clearly to the US. It makes absolutely no sense to speak of any necessity for the US to take over Greenland. The United States has no legal basis to annex one of the 3 countries of the Kingdom of Denmark. And again, like with the journalist, I love that reference to legal basis, as if there is a legal basis for any of this. There isn't. They're just doing whatever they can. So look, on one level, does it seem ridiculous, the idea that we're gonna invade and conquer Greenland? Sure. But if it happened tomorrow, would you be 10 out of 10 surprised? Still, you'd be 10 out of 10 surprised. They could just do it. Because JR, let's say that they did it. What would happen? What would be done? What would Denmark do? If Pete Hegseth jumped out of a helicopter, landed on his face or whatever, and declared that he's the king of Greenland or whatever, what would be done?
Well, I believe there's this thing called NATO. I believe it's connected somewhat, just the country that also is connected to Greenland. I feel like it'd be a conflict where more and more countries in the world continue to see the United States as this isolated country that likes to invade others and then just make declarations of what is it we're gonna do to them. I feel like there'd have to be a response, or the fact that for how many years we've been dogging out and distancing ourselves from things in NATO. I mean the UN as well. Like anything that has any kind of international coordination or peacemaking, or trying to keep the peace. I feel like we're distancing ourselves from like all of it because this was the whole setup from the first place. I mean, this guy, we heard about Greenland at first, right after the inauguration, I feel like. They're talking about all these countries, it was Canada and Greenland, remember? And Mexico as well, I guess next, it was a couple months before they got to that point. So I think it's pretty clear that the problem would then come with the conflict of going and invading multiple countries. As you pointed out, our Western Hemisphere was also on the list. Colombia, Cuba, Mexico. We're going after like everything. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's the destruction of this country in hopes for a destruction of other countries. But we've been told that we're the best and nothing is even better than us in our entire lives. We don't believe it until we see something else. That's why it's so devastating for the folks who look up and then be told we're winning. Just like we were told we're winning every other war that we started.
Yeah, so look, I don't know if they're specifically gonna take Greenland or whatever, but I would guess, yeah, probably at this point. There's no checks on this. Like, what do you think? Like in the run-up to 2024, what do you think we were joking about the stakes? Like, do you think like they would present that when we were throwing terms like fascism around, we were being hyperbolic? No, we were serious, and we have never been more right. What do you have 1 year into this administration? You have mass deportations. You have the rooting out of both anyone who isn't of the right racial makeup or whatever, and the right religious makeup. You also have them trying to root out leftists or whatever. So domestically, you've got all that. You got the demonization of people with ulterior sexual orientations. So you have all that domestic fascism goodness, and you have the establishment of the American empire, whom some have named the Third Reich, and all of it to profit corporations, by the way. So you have that government and business fascism thing. I don't know what more it would take for you to understand. And so, like I said, I'll just be brief about this. The idea that they're not gonna flood core cities with troops in advance of the midterm elections and the presidential election of 2028, I did not necessarily believe that on day one. But I think that it is crazy to not believe, and hopefully, if anyone can stop it, to prepare for that. Because who the hell thinks they're just gonna give up power at this point, after all of this, and have all this dialed back? Have President Buttigieg give Greenland back to Denmark, and or President Gavin Newsom take us out of Venezuela? You think they're gonna do that with the amount of money that's gonna go to their elite buddies off of this? Madness to think that.